Let me see.
Whoa, that's the loudest I've ever heard.
All right, well, let's call it to order then. Welcome, everybody, to our regular public meeting session of June 26th. And we will start off with approval of the last meeting's minutes, the June 5th meeting. I'm going to be entertaining a few motions from you today, if that's
Yes,
all right. A motion to approve the minutes from June 5th.
So moved.
Okay, and I'll have to second that. Did you get a chance to go
Yep,
through
I
them?
did.
Is there, okay, any changes or edits? that
Looks
you-
good to me.
Okay,
As usual.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I think we had a pretty good period of time here on the agenda items. I guess we're going to find out. Agenda items, action items from the June 5th meeting. Bill had none. John?
I did talk to Don at Whitney's, and things are progressing there slowly. But I think the pond issue was they've invested, I think $2,000. He said to me on that already for plans and things to move forward, and so that's in the works. So it hasn't moved much, but it is going forward. Eagle Mountain House, we sent off a letter to
We sent an email.
to the new director.
And he is working with this cross-country group, and they're going to include you on a meeting. They haven't
Right.
set it up yet. But they'll
So
be in touch.
that's in the works.
For the river primarily?
Yeah, the river down there, it is
Yeah.
getting washed out pretty good, but
Yeah.
it's a process. I mean, it's not going to happen in 1 year, I'm
Right.
sure, but I think we just keep that on the agenda, keep moving forward on that. But I didn't do anything on the cemetery sign, I have to admit. Julie, did we have anything on the sign for the cemetery in Dundee?
No, I thought you were going to drive by.
I totally forgot about that one. I'll space that one out, but I'll finish up on that one.
Okay. And so, Department of Environmental Services on Whitney, is there like a timeline with milestones?
Well, the Whitney's Black is for the the construction of the diversion of the water
Right.
there, and that's kind of, it's in the process. It's going very slowly.
Okay.
I know Burr is going to get way in on it at one point or another, and of course it has to be approved by DES. So
Right.
It's
So they're working on their plan?
right.
They don't
exactly.
have an approved
They
plan?
don't have an approved plan yet. No.
Okay.
Is that a town issue?
No. Well, no, it isn't.
Why would Burr get involved?
They hired him to
Okay.
do it. Yep, they hired him to do it.
Okay.
My action item was to contact Burr about our transfer station options, and that relates to him doing a bit of an engineering study up at the transfer station to take a look at how that could be configured differently moving forward as part of a capital improvement plan. And his idea all along was that he could probably come up with 3 different options that would require different levels of investment by the towns, and then at that point, when he had some ideas that were concrete, then the 2 boards would come together and discuss cost and see if we could kind of flesh out what our preferences were at that point. And so even Burr's the work for doing that analysis would cost us some money that we're still trying to figure out. I mean, that would really come under the 50-50 split of capital improvement up there.
And I reached out to Brenda Bartlett, and she's
Yeah.
talking to Jean, and they're going to get back in touch about
Okay.
how to put it together.
I spoke to him a couple weeks ago, and he said, "Yeah, well, we'll talk it over, and get back to you." And so I'm not sure if they've reached a point where they're ready to get back to us yet or not, but we'll
It's in the works.
keep finding. Well, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The folks that work up there, they had an input.
John has, and so it's really my,
It seems like the guys that work there would have a pretty good way to, I mean,
yeah, so up there and seeing the day-to-day operation gives you lots of valuable input for this. And so, well, the plan was that the two boards were going to get together along with Burr and along with John. Those were going to be the 8 people once we had some engineering recommendation. And Burr's been working with John to determine how things could look up there as well.
my question is, what is the engineering required?
Well, what would it cost to move the compactors, and where could they go, and how could it look? You know, we don't have employees up there with any kind of a background or level of experience to do that kind of thing, or really understand how that would look, or what some of those changes would really entail. And so that's why really both the boards felt like, you know, it's the plan that really needs to be clean and clear, and if it is, we're not going to end up at the end of having put some effort in there feeling like we didn't think about this and we didn't think about that. And so it's to help us get a good solid plan together that makes clear to us that what we're doing is in the best interest of both towns.
Maybe I misunderstood the magnitude that you were looking at. I thought it started more as a traffic flow thing.
That is a primary driver of why everybody agrees that there needs to be some changes up there. Just about everything you do up there requires a 3-point turn, and none of it's designated as one way. So,
That's what I say, if it's just a traffic thing, but anyway.
well, if it's a traffic thing, but then where you're going to put your different stations, how are they going to look? Are certain ideas feasible from an engineering standpoint? Are examples of questions that neither board has, and none of the transfer station staff really are subject matter experts to the point where they could answer those kind of things either. You wouldn't say something.
It is a point where, you know, how much money you want to throw at the engineering. You know, that's the issue. I know Conway spent a lot of money on that, and I'd like to try to avoid that if possible. You know, we're kind of kicking the stones and seeing how it goes right at the moment. But yeah, there could be some money to be talked about. You know, because if it gets large, then we have to change our game plan.
Right.
Okay.
Action item, Julie, Jay Burr and Peter.
There's actually
The drainage
an email in the folder from Burr, and he was working on it, but has not given me anything really to report, just that he is working on it.
On the drainage easement?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So,
think it might be the next page.
This is for Thornhill, right?
Sorry, just the one under that.
Single one.
oh,
This one?
they're all clipped together, right?
I don't know. There was one just from,
Oh yeah, that's it.
Okay. So what's the status on that?
that he knows he needs to work on it, but he doesn't really have anything to report right now.
Okay, so we can carry that over
Yeah.
next meeting. Okay. Julie got off, no action items, and
To
then,
work on that.
yeah, no kidding. We got the next series of meetings laid out there. I don't know how those dates look for you and Bill, but I
Do we
think-
have any makeup dates for any of those other meetings that canceled? I know the physical planning committee.
Fiscal planning, I was waiting to hear back from Bill about his schedule, and but I hadn't heard back, so I threw out an August 11th date today,
All right.
and I'm waiting for everyone to respond to that.
Was there another one for the
There was a
ambulance?
safety committee that was rescheduled for July 10th.
July 10th. But we didn't do anything with the ambulance one yet, did we? That
No,
was-
we were, in fact, Gene mentioned that in the phone call too. He just said, I want you to know, they've reached out to
Well,
Rick
it
or
was
Sue
Rick
or
that
both.
wanted it,
Right.
and hadn't heard back from them.
yeah, and so they have not been in touch to, I mean, I think that initially there had been some time-sensitive
Yeah,
stuff
they-
that's long
you're
since
right.
passed.
That was the reason.
Mhm.
So they
So I'm sure.
missed that date or
Yeah.
whatever.
And so July 10th is safety?
Yep.
All right.
I think that's at 3:30.
3:30, do we know the other one by chance? Or you just said,
The August 11th is 4:30, I believe. But that hasn't been confirmed. July 10th has been confirmed.
I thought he needed something later in the day. Bill.
I thought he said 4:30
Okay.
on the 3rd.
Great. Excellent. Super. Okay. So that's the action item update. Any public comments?
Yes, I have a question. For some years, I've driven up and down Cottage Road, and as it's a state road up to the bottom of Patrick Hill, the striping on the road stops basically at Gill Bridge. My question is, why don't we stripe it the whole way? It's a state road. So I asked Kenny Crowther, and he said, well, you better talk to Gene Chandler. Well, I talked to Gene Chandler. And he suggested that a letter from the board to the commissioner with a copy to him would be the way to get it started.
okay.
And so would you entertain that?
So he suggested that you talk to Kenny as basically he was suggesting that as a state rep. With it wearing a state rep hat.
Challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I
No,
don't,
it has been in the past, some years ago.
okay.
Talking with the chief and the road agent, they can't say anything that is going to enhance any particular thing, but it would be helpful.
Okay. As a Carter Notch Road resident, did you want to, your hand went up, you want to weigh
Yeah,
in?
so it's always been my understanding that the reason the striping stops there is because the road designation changes. We go down for a classification road or something like that. So from the
Gill
from
Bridge turn.
16A, right, Gill Bridge, classification of that section of Carter Notch changes. We're a lower class of road. But I could be wrong, that's what I
It
was.
makes a difference, you have to have it marked, like the East Conway Road, it's not 16A or B, so you're on the bottom. But when you have a 16B, it makes a
Right, so
difference.
that was always my understanding.
But it is a state road.
It is
Yeah,
a
it's
state
also-
road to Patrick Hill, yeah.
Okay.
Because you're bigger.
We can look into that, maybe.
According to
I'd
regular.
like to confirm whether the class of road changes there or not.
Let's go dig him
And,
up.
makes
I
sense.
appreciate it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Other public comments? Okay, we're ready for the police report.
Afternoon, everyone.
How's it going?
Going well, except for all the rain.
Well, we needed it, I think.
Yeah, we need a little rain.
I think you're right. As far as calls for service, past couple weeks, we've had a few district court procedures, so we've been down there a little bit. We had one call for a suspicious vehicle, a couple of dog complaints, 2 calls for domestic disturbances, 2 medical assist calls, 2 false burglar alarms, 2 bear complaints.
Everything comes in twos.
We served one subpoena paper service, 3 motor vehicle accidents, 1 911 call, and assist state police with a motor vehicle accident. That was the one down here at the intersection the other night. Crashed into, hit the light pole and crashed into Dairy Queen.
Oh, I didn't know about that one. I saw the marks there, but
And then 1 assist for motorist. And that does it for the calls. And then we have the fireworks coming up, I believe, on the 5th, if I'm right. So,
the 5th,
yep, Saturday.
Saturday fireworks.
Okay.
unless it gets rained out. That's it.
Any questions for Sean, or seems pretty straightforward to me
Two
too?
bear complaints, his mom and the two cubs that are floating around my house, or?
Not sure. Not sure. I'm sure they're, I'm hearing them being more seen than there are the complaints coming in, but they are active, so.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
they're cute. Right, thanks.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
I don't know how much work it was.
It was one of the roads just when I came down.
This is my son on the wave. Can you believe that? He came across the mama while he was walking our dog, and the dog chased her and stumbled over that, came back, wanted to get at him, so all Jack could do was pick him up.
Right.
It's crazy, huh? Not even a week old.
What'd you do with it?
Oh my gosh.
He called us, we went in there, we snagged Bondo, got him out of there, and then he put the fawn down, and the mom was right there and came over, so, yeah.
So these are just the last two, the oil bids, or the diesel bids rather, and then the decision on the exemption for the radio, which John said we should just go for because it's 600 and
Are
they
they
don't.
on?
No, these are not.
Okay, all right,
Be under old business, right?
yeah. Oil and NHPR. Building inspector. We've got, I think, just a number of FYIs, but initially, we've got the
A weekly report there.
weekly report. And so in addition to
There are about 5 weekly.
time cards, these, and I can let you go through these if you want
I'd like to see
a
that.
little later. Do it now, yeah.
You could, I think I gave you the response that Goody gave to George's question last week about the driveway permit and what the source was. What's that? I think so. You were asking for the source of the driveway permit?
The demolition
Or
permit.
demolition,
Yeah.
sorry. Demolition, sorry, demolition.
So we passed it on to Goody, and we weren't sure how clear and connected the answer was, but your question was, what was the source of the demolition permit? And Goody's response was, we did not create the permit. In fact, we, as in the building and fire, don't have a signature line. It's a required document for most communities to have on file in order to record the removal of property from the tax rolls. Otherwise, the assessor's office would not be aware of changes to the taxable property. So that's basically why we have that one on file. Does that help? Does that help you, George? Does it? Okay. Good. Excellent. Anything in there you
Nope,
want to
that was good.
look pretty straightforward?
Yep.
All right, and then we've got the building inspector update from the hiring committee. The hiring committee was Tom. Was Tom on the hiring committee?
Tom.
And then Bill Lockard,
And Goody.
Goody,
Dick Bennett.
Dick Bennett, Huntley Allen,
Julie. H.
and Julie Hoyt. So their recommendation is in, and I spoke to Bill a little bit on the phone about this. I don't know, I just asked him actually to put this together since he wouldn't be able to make it here today, and Basically, they posted 2 different periods of time for a total of 23 days, and their recommendation for the top candidate was Kevin Bennett. And of course, he works at the fire department. Their second recommendation was VIS Construction Consultants out of Burlington, Vermont. And the third candidate was somebody that came over from Bridgeton, Maine. Really wasn't any more qualified, or just barely more qualified than Kevin, and VIS Construction Consultants were very qualified and very expensive. So they're recommending closing the search, and they have passed along Kevin Bennett for a recommendation for us to approve as the building inspector.
Is he certified?
What's that?
Is
I'm sorry?
Kevin certified?
No. So that was their recommendation. Now, Kevin is, according to Goody, about 75% through his certification. Candidate number 3 was just recently certified. And there were some issues around him coming over from Maine. Really wasn't what he was looking for, but that's what he responded to. We talked about maybe a step process for Kevin of a certain rate of pay and 60-month performance reviews until he gets certified. Goody, of course, is certified and would remain in place as the building inspector and provide supervision and oversight until Kevin is certified, and then would be subject to, once he's certified, a 90-day performance evaluation, and then yearly after that. So that was the recommendation from Goody.
Is he going to be per diem, or are you employing him as a salaried person?
He will be an hourly rate employee of the town, part-time. Will not be working enough hours to qualify for benefits. And that was also what the committee recommended as well.
Will he be under contract?
He'll be an employee of the town.
So you have to put workman's comp on him?
That's right. Yeah. And he wanted to make it clear too that there would be no way that we could possibly operate in anything other than the black on this deal, based on the revenue that we're bringing in for building permit applications and the work that would be required to do, even with him still drawing on that until Kevin got certified. Like 3 weeks ago, Kevin was 60% along, and now he's 75% along, so there would obviously be some incentivized pay there for him to finish up as soon as possible, and Goody feels real positive about it.
Sounds good.
Would his job description be available before he's hired?
Well, I think his job description
It's
is
just a
current.
building code.
No.
Well,
It should
we
be.
put together a job description.
I think
And
it's
it is
the one you've
available
already
now.
seen
Yeah.
that we had given. We can certainly provide another copy for you.
Yeah,
So have you got money in the budget for this? I mean,
more than we could use, even with both of them. Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's no way we could do anything other than operate in the black.
What's that? Oh, no. I have your email, but it's okay to email it. Okay.
So that's our status on that. And so shall we make a motion?
I make a motion that we retain Kevin Bennett as our building inspector pending certification.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. And I'd like to thank the whole committee, Tom, Bill, Goody, Dick, Huntley. I know especially Dick and Huntley came in as volunteers and spent a lot of time discussing things and interviewing candidates. I really appreciate that. Maybe we could just, at least for the volunteers, get a nice letter of appreciation out.
Mhm.
Put it together, let us know, we'll
And
come
also
by
let
and
the
sign
other
it.
candidates know.
Yes, please.
And let the other candidates know that this time we've gone with our top candidate, but if anything changes, we'll be happy to get back to them and have more conversations. C, Jackson Fire Department building permit. Needs selectmen signatures. They're going to remove a load-bearing wall and create a larger opening to accommodate the new vehicle.
Now, I talked to Jay about that because, nothing had been budgeted for that. And he said it's a slow process and what they were going to be doing now for this year wasn't going to be any expense.
Just get all the ducks in a row, type
Yeah,
thing.
and so I guess, they'll have to address that next year for funds of it.
They have a year to do it, so, once we approve it.
And so this is an FYI with us, that that's happening, and Goody's involved with his signature.
Right.
Okay, and then it's the only thing in the packet, looking for our signature, but also to get us up to speed on project happenings. There's a map V08, lot 26. McLaughlin's the owner. They're going to remove an existing first floor structure and add a breezeway and garage. Ken Rack signed on to do that. We've got map V10, lot 6. The owner is Waterhouse. They're going to renovate an existing bathroom and change around some exterior doors. Signed off.
Interior, sorry.
I'm sorry, yeah, interior.
It's okay.
Thank you. Then we've got map V7, lot 128. That owner is Cornack. They're going to build a 2,400 square foot vacation chalet on their lot. That has been signed off. All conditions met to date by Goody. Then the final packet is map R8, lot 26. The owner is Good, building a 16 by 20 foot detached, 25 foot from the house. Garage is a, okay, I was going to say shed or garage. Okay, garage, detached garage, and he's got his contractor in place, and Goody has signed that one off. Any questions on any of that?
No.
Okay, excellent. New business. The communication assessment recommendations. I just wanted to pass this along to both. Maybe you could put that in
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
Bill's box, since he's
Oh,
not
yes,
here.
yes.
Results of the whole communication assessment, and that's for you. I just thought it might be a good idea for you guys to have that. It basically represents the questions that we asked the focus groups, what their answers were, and then the analysis night, the voting process, and what got the most votes. Oh, it's a hoot. So I think if my hope is that if you go through there and you see things that you think are a good idea to act on, that we can entertain some discussions around it. Some of it's fairly low-hanging fruit, and I think the group that, well, all the focus groups did great, and then the group that showed up for the analysis night did a great job taking a look at all the recommendations as well.
Did you want copies of these distributed?
We'll do a final report
Final
at
report.
some point, but I want the selectmen to kind of weigh in first. And this will all be, absolutely part of the report as well.
Okay.
So happy reading with that. Next up, we've got a Red Fox request to expand their licensed liquor service area. And this is for the Wentworth Golf Club 34th Annual Memorial Hospital Opening.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we'll get Bill's signature and some. Hot on their heels is the Eagle Mountain House, looking to expand their liquor license service area for
This is
May
actually
1st through...
a revision for the one we signed earlier. They want to do the tent and the barbecue area, and before it was only for the tent, so.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's adding the barbecue area out back with Hay Creek Hotels. Entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we've got from the Department of Revenue just a form that we are going to sign off here that basically gives them, for their records, the official notice that we don't use the PA 28 form. I just need to sign this and then you'll be sending it back.
Form that says we don't use the form.
Yeah,
Exactly.
welcome
Is it
to government. And we've got an intent to cut form here that we're being asked to sign off on. R17 Lot 8D off Moody Farm Road. Looks like Russell and Emily Miller. So I think we need to sign off on this, so I'll entertain a motion to sign to approve this intent to cut.
So moved. R17 Lot 8D.
All those in favor?
Yeah, we have a question on the floor.
Yeah,
Who's the landowner again? I didn't get that.
Russell and,
Oh, it's just a penny.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Emily, call me Penny Miller. So yes, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What's the spots here? I'll just pick this one. And we have a tax abatement here, and this ended up being overlooked. It looked like we billed the U.S. Forest Service for an amount on taxes that we should not have. Is that accurate to
Yes.
say?
Yeah, Jason just entered it in the system and he forgot to mark a box, and
Okay.
so they got a bill.
All right. Threatened us probably, and now we're going to sign an abatement on that. So entertain a motion then to sign the tax abatement form for the U.S. Forest Service.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This is... It's like a payment booklet.
Yeah, it does. Unless it's not coming out of my account.
Due on the 20th of every month. Okay. Next up, Health Trust has now moved back to PLT.
Yeah, so it was PLT, then it was Health Trust, and now they're moving back to PLT, and you can, I highlighted under that, there's the letter attached.
So they didn't like the name Health Trust?
Well, no, I think it didn't go through the way,
This had to be approved by some other government entity? Or?
yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. And so nothing required from us, just
Except we have to
an
now,
FYI.
well, no,
as
now
a
we have to
signature.
sign the power of attorney back to PLT again.
We have to assign our attorney.
No,
Power of attorney.
Power of
Oh,
attorney.
power of attorney,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So, does that require a motion or anything, or is that pretty automatic? Might as well entertain a motion to sign our power of attorney back over to PLT from Health Trust.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Very good. Trustees of the trust funds.
It's just another invoice from the police.
Oh, for the cruiser?
Yeah,
Looks like we need another $375. Pay an invoice from the police department expendable trust fund to Chris Greenwood. We're wiring up some more electronics.
I think
That's
that
what
one
he
was
does.
the labels, like the signs. on the
Oh, okay.
decals, yeah.
Got it. 3-color reflective vinyl. So I'll entertain a motion to withdraw $375 from the police department equipment expendable trust fund. Pay for the invoice for the lettering for Chris Greenwood,
So moved.
dated 6/19/9/14. Here's the date. Yeah. Second, all those in favor? All right. Next up is HEB Engineers. Little about the Moon Road landfill report.
And if you look where the sticky note is, it says that it's no,
Just a report from them.
Yeah.
No concentrations that exceeded the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services ambient groundwater quality standards during the round of testing. Okay,
Good news.
excellent.
FYI.
Just like we figured, and that's capped, so I wonder how long are we going to have to test that for? Do we know?
it sounds like they have to continue for a number of years.
Did you just say forever?
It was supposed to be over a couple of years ago.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they just changed the rules to do it another,
It's
I think it's 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
But just keep filling it, and it'll only get better. Keep throwing dirt on top of it.
That's
All
right.
right.
It's better filter.
As long as it doesn't glow at night.
Yeah, keep adding asphalt to it,
That's a relief.
not wait.
So, next up is agenda item 7, old business. First up, old library. So I won't read the whole response that we got from our town attorney.
The response is
You got a copy of that
Sorry.
attachment, and I can summarize it.
Please.
Basically, the old library management committee that was formed and then whose service term was up in the spring of 2014, and basically we all felt like there was no need to continue with the Selectmen appointed old library management committee because we had the old library trustees up and running and functioning as an approved 501c3, and nobody saw a need. But in order for us to enter into a land use agreement with the church, we had to be seen as a town that had an operating authority over that building, and we didn't when we disbanded the committee. So the idea is to reform the committee and get members appointed to serve out terms, and then we are identified that the town of Jackson is as having operational authority over that building. Then we can turn around and negotiate or have discussions with the Chapel Association around a land use agreement. Anything you want to add to that, Susan? You're on the old library trustees,
No,
and you were a former member of the old library
That's the way it should be.
management committee.
Should be between town and BCA.
Right.
Correct.
And obviously,
And
none of you realize that the ramifications of disbanding that committee and recommending that would
Well,
mean that we
right.
had to kind of,
we
that we
expire.
wouldn't be seen as operating that building, but reforming that means that we will.
We expired, but I think we're all willing to
Re-up.
serve.
So I had conversations with Joan, and I know she went out, and Susan and Alicia Hawks and Marjorie Furlong all responded that they would be willing to serve. There are specific designations for members on the old library management committee as it was set up in 2011 by the Board of Selectmen. There were 4 specific designations. They wanted 1 member designated by either the church or chapel association, 1 member designated by the Friends of the Library, 1 member designated by the Jackson Historical Society, and then 1 member selected from the public at large. Now, when the committee was disbanded, there were 5 on there. It doesn't limit you to 4, but
We
they
started
wanted
with 7.
those.
But
4
we could never get all
designations.
7 in the room at the same time to
Yeah.
vote on officers or anything else. And we did have a member from the church. And
Right.
then when that person resigned, we didn't get another member
Yeah.
because we
Right.
thought it was up to the church to select somebody.
Mhm.
Also, I don't know if this is really written in stone, but I don't know why we have to have a representative from the library or the Historical Society, because we don't have representation on their boards.
Mhm.
So I think it was a way of getting it started,
Mhm.
but it's up to you, right?
Yeah.
However you form the group.
Yeah.
I think this might be too restrictive. Like you said, it may be hard finding people who are willing
And
to do
special
it.
interest groups too.
Right.
We had people from River Arts when we started. They just wanted to use the building themselves. And then when they found out that they couldn't sell things there, I don't have time to be on the committee.
Yeah.
And so, maybe you should stick with those of us who have been dedicated to it.
Yeah, well, we do know we have a group of people who are dedicated to the old library, and they currently cross over and serve on the 501c3 trustees, and I think that was kind of where our discussions led to, was like, let's entertain a motion and reform the committee with the members that were serving in the spring, and understanding that not all of these positions were met. Originally they were, but for example, the church never designated a new member when their member got off. Put the same people in place, and then that gives us, and then we've got a committee up and functioning, allowing us to negotiate and have a conversation with the church chapel association. And then that gives us plenty of time to kind of revisit, is this what seemed like a good idea in 2011, is it still a good idea? I don't know. So,
Yeah,
but
sounds good to me.
it was a good point. So I would go ahead then and entertain a motion for the Board of Selectmen to reform the old library management committee.
So moved.
I second that. Any other discussion out in the audience? Anybody? Okay, so all those in favor?
All right.
Aye. And then I would go ahead and, I guess, entertain a second motion to reappoint the 5 individuals that were serving on the committee in March of 2014 on this new reformed Old Library Management Committee.
So moved.
Second? Any other conversation?
And did you decide that was going to be for 1 year, or were you going to stagger the terms?
Um,
Have you even thought?
This will
about
give
that?
us some time. I'd rather have that conversation with Bill in the room, and maybe we
Yeah.
could actually put that on an agenda down the road. And I know some of your members that wanted to be here today couldn't because they had previous
Yeah.
commitments, and maybe there would be a way for us to all kind of talk about, what makes sense. I think there's a lot of merit to staggering some of these things, and
Well, then it would be
figure
an
that
ongoing
out.
committee
Yeah.
instead of,
And-
falling apart next year and having to be
Yeah. And that'll give you all an opportunity to figure out amongst yourself who wants to, who have their term up in March 2015, or who would like to, most of these terms are typically 3-year terms, but
Yeah.
that was getting that committee up and running today that will allow us to meet with the Chapel Association. And by the way,
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Get
we're
that
trying to meet with the Chapel Association next week.
Okay.
So really try and fast track this. Yeah, Peter.
I would just make the suggestion that maybe you just put it out there to see if anybody wants to be on the committee, just so nobody thinks that they're
That's true.
the worst, the person that didn't hear about it. So
Sure,
maybe
through our
just
news.
expressing,
Right.
interest by the public.
It's
Yeah.
always good PR to do that.
And since you're not bound by numbers, it's.
Right. And that's another good point, and we talked about that. It's like, how can we get this thing up and running and functioning, this week, so that we can discuss this with the church. And yeah, we can go ahead and post that on e-news. And I think if we've got 5 people, I like the idea of odd numbers. Not that they would ever need to count votes, but you never know.
You never know.
So if we were able to post that we had 2 openings for the Old Library Management Committee on e-news, and any, the typical, anybody interested, contact the town office. Does that make sense to
Sure.
you?
No, it's
All right.
Do
perfect
you have a
sense.
cutoff date for that?
What it will is run it. We can run it for.
Well, I guess with e-news, you just kind of post it.
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah.
Right. I would think,
Give it a couple rounds.
yeah,
Okay.
a week or 2 from when you post it. Figure out when it's actually going to go out. Whatever you're typically doing with those. Be good. So, all right. Any other input from anybody about anything to do with the old library land use agreement efforts? Okay, excellent. Jackson Historical Society, and this is just an FYI, the sign project we talked about is being deferred.
Is there any particular reason to scare them off? Or?
No, he didn't say. He
No.
just said they were going to defer it for now.
Okay. You want to scare them away.
Great.
Sounds like a good idea. But,
And that came to us in an email dated June 13th. Great. All right, thank you. Next up is elected official pay structure. And this came about as a result of the end of a term of an elected official. And us trying to figure out how other towns do that. And one of the things that we came across and realized was maybe a little bit gray and needed to be cleared up is when W-2s go out, what is the term that they're being paid for? The W-2 is all going out in 1 year. Does that make sense if the last quarter of an elected official's term is spilling into the first quarter of the next calendar year? So I think we asked 10 different towns how they did it and got 12 different answers. But the one that seemed to make the most sense to us, as well as our town council, is that if we paid elected officials on a quarterly basis, then they would end up with their, on their last year of service, getting a W-2 for the first quarter of that year.
Right.
If that makes sense to everybody. That is just how it's been set up and structured now. That was really an operational decision, right? We're not looking to entertain motions to any of that. And so That's all set up, and that's gonna start with the June 27th payroll, the one tomorrow, correct? Great. So look for that check.
Yippee.
Yeah,
You can pick it up, right?
huge, huge. Excellent. Okay. What's the best way to describe the gazebo rental issue?
Well,
Go ahead.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that basically we come to find out that the tulip insurance that we were told that people needed to get is a bit more expensive than we were led to believe, and they can't get it for an hour. They need to get it for a 24-hour period. So I spoke to the, he's the, gosh, what's his title? He's the risk assessment person at Property Liability Trust, and I explained the situation a little bit in more detail about the fact that people are renting the gazebo for an hour for a wedding, and the long and short of it is that as long as we have them sign off on something that says they're not going to be consuming alcohol, or they're not going to be having, anything flammable like candles and such. Fireworks, yeah, that we can allow them to use it and they'd still be covered under our insurance. He said, that the tulip insurance is always recommended but not required. And so it seems that...
But it's required if we charge them.
No, apparently no. That's what I was led... That was my understanding of it, which I was looking for I was going to go back and I'll look for his emails that stated that. But he said we could still charge like a deposit if there were trash cleanup or something like that. And that would be okay. But, so I think that some of the little details still need to be clarified yet again, just to make sure we have it completely correct, but that we don't need to make them get the tulip insurance if they're going to be there for just, an hour or so.
But we should have them sign off.
They do need to sign off, yeah,
Maybe we can recommend a donation.
exactly.
And you got a kind of an example of some of the things that they could sign off on.
Yeah. So what I can put something together, and then I'll ask the guy at the risk assessment gentleman, I'll ask him again to review it, make sure we're all on the same page, and then we can go from there. But it doesn't look like we're gonna have to require that. As I said, it's recommended by them still, but not required.
So there's a bit of a backtracking on that. And that came about with the wedding. It's like, well, there's $25 to rent the thing and $133 to buy the event insurance. Is that really necessary? And they kind of changed their viewpoint on it slightly. So.
Well, he was
I'd like to see
apparently,
it used, obviously.
Yeah,
the gentleman that I spoke with at Property Liability Trust, he said he was thinking it was a big full-day wedding. And so I don't know.
And that would make a difference.
Yeah, and so when I explained further, he said, oh, well, that doesn't seem quite necessary for the hour or so that they're going to do the ceremony.
All right.
Have we contacted the person interested in renting? And
Not yet, but we will do that tomorrow.
great. What's the date for that event?
I
wanted
think
that-
it's the 7th.
September?
July.
July, okay. All right. Yeah, just get a hold of her, let her know. It was kind of an operational thing, so. Just a couple of other things
Not on the agenda.
under old business, not on the agenda, was that we finally got a price quote for a number of different reasons. We've got a prepaid, fixed price program rather, for diesel from Jesse Lyman and from White Mountain. We've got $354.9 from Lyman Oil and still $356 from White Mountain Oil, because we still currently have our current contract with White Mountain Oil, and for a number of different reasons, we kind of got the recommendation to continue with White Mountain Oil, right? So that's the plan on that. Just as an FYI, that's the way we're planning on going with that. We want to make a motion
I think you
to
should.
approve that,
Yeah.
to go ahead and enter into another yearly contract with White Mountain Oil for the $356 price.
So moved.
Second. Any other discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And then there's the New Hampshire Public Radio charitable exemption request that originally, although we've already always allowed that exemption request, last time we didn't, and I think that it seemed like we were interpreting Jason's recommendation to not allow that, and since he has since kind of
He was
through
some background
discussion.
information.
Right, exactly, that, and we're talking about a cost of roughly $600 a year or something, so looking to kind of see if we wanted to revisit that and entertain a motion to allow the New Hampshire Public Radio to operate with another charitable exemption request.
So moved.
Second? Any other discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If you guys want to just sign the top sheet,
Anywhere in particular?
anywhere,
Oh, okay. Does Bill need to sign it too?
I can.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. And so that wraps up old business and brings us to public comment. Any public comments, Bob?
Yeah, they're gonna do more work on Dundee Road before they tie it.
Don't know.
You mean ditching and what?
No, but they got rocks coming up to the road at the top of Dame Hill,
Yeah,
and they got places that's like that isn't filled in. Well, it's gonna take a lot of tar.
Yeah.
Usually they go over it and just skim coat it. And I haven't seen any of that done. Right over it, have you ridden over it?
I rode over
Oh, yeah.
last week. It was
Yeah.
rough.
Wasn't it a thrill?
No, it wasn't. It's my favorite road. No, it wasn't. No. I don't know what, the status as far as what's left to do before they're done, but
I don't know, they
Yeah.
painted the center line the other day,
Right.
so I
Really?
think
Right.
it's already, but it's a shame to
Yeah.
sell all that money and not even take the rocks out that's coming up to the road.
I don't know how much of Dundee they're planning on reclaiming, but I know there's some of it that they are planning on reclaiming.
They've got it marked.
yeah, they're gonna.
Well, that's what they're gonna pay. Some of it's gonna be shim, and some of it's gonna be reclaiming. But I couldn't tell you exactly what the stretches were.
I don't know if they're gonna do any reclaiming. If they were gonna reclaim it, why would they
Put the
mark
center.
the center line?
Yeah, I know that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense unless they.
And to change the subject, on that, Malone Road fill there, is that the town dump? The old
Yeah,
dump?
the old dump.
And if anything happens, that thing goes sour, you're gonna have to remove all that fill, every bit of it.
Right.
And there's thousands of yards in there, they keep trucking in more.
Yeah.
So my question, they might wanna get a better place to dump it, because if down the road that monitor doesn't pan out, then they're in big trouble.
Who's dumping there now? Who's dumping there now?
Dumping brush.
Town,
Really?
Town?
Yeah, brush.
Brush and tars?
Yeah.
When they
Well,
dig
not far.
ditches that have chunks of asphalt, they take
I
them
know, I
there and
just-
dump them. It doesn't seem very clean.
All right. And why don't we, just because I believe that the pavement is scheduled to start in town around the 12th of July, last I heard. That was the date we were working with. So let's see if we could get a road agent to kind of give you some sort of a sense of just what the stretch of Dundee is going to be. That's going to be a more in-depth project than just a shim coat. What sections of Dundee are going to be reclaimed first, and call Bob and B, let him know when we get that answer, because by the time we meet again, it's going to be 2 days away from starting, so I want to get to the answer as soon as we can. That makes sense? Okay. And then maybe we could also get the question out to both Kenny and Jay around the logic of using the old Balloon Road site to dump the brush and ditching material, and what all they're dumping up there.
I don't believe the state's doing anything.
The
No.
state doesn't do
No,
I
it's
think it's
just,
just the town.
Okay.
just the town,
We get that clarified too. I thought you said Kenny too, but yeah.
just
okay.
Jay?
Yeah.
just
I think
Jay.
it's just the
Oh.
town.
I think, let's confirm that it's just the town, and so no need to ask Kenny if it's not the state. All right?
Can I ask about another road? Are they planning to pave Balsam Drive?
I don't think
The
that was on
schedule
the
went
list.
out.
Yeah, the schedule was on the email list last week.
Because
Oh,
they've
they
made an
is?
awful mess of
Yeah.
that road, digging ditches and digging up, with what, their machines digging up the pavement, and all I can see is it's just going to erode away,
Mm.
as most of the ditches do.
Mhm.
Ugly. It's really, really ugly.
Yeah, I
don't
don't,
see that it serves any useful purpose, all that ditching, but
yeah, I don't believe there's,
he's been here 5 generations and he knows more than I do.
Yeah, you better ditch. Boys gotta
get an answer on when that one's scheduled to be paved too, I guess.
Which one?
Falls.
I feel like that was one of the names
I don't remember seeing it, but I could be wrong.
Did you see the list on EU's,
I
Susan?
missed it, I guess.
Okay.
It's just about a week ago.
It's on
but-
the
Yeah.
website too. It's on the website. I can't remember the list.
Okay.
She just
Not
wanted to
that
know
I'm gonna go looking for
when it's
it,
gonna be
just,
paved.
I forgot about it until you started talking about
When
it.
it's going to be paved next.
Yeah. And just wanting to get a little bit of a sense of the logic behind the amount of ditching
Yeah,
on the road
digging
as well.
ditches 4 feet deep doesn't serve any purpose at all. It just causes more erosion and more breakdown of the road surface.
Mhm. Okay. See what we can do to get those responses to you. Anything else for public comment? Hearing none, I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you.